Good morning everyone. Today we will be discussing about heart attack, the symptoms and signs of heart attack, and prevention of heart attack and management of heart attack. Heart attack means damage of the heart muscle because of the decreased blood supply to the heart muscle. So whenever there is a decreased blood supply to the heart due to blockade of the any one of the coronary artery vessel, that means coronary artery means the blood vessels will supply the blood flow to the heart muscle. So everybody will have a two coronary arteries normally, with a rare exemption like anomalous coronary arteries, but usually this is main vessel, this is aorta. Aorta is the main vessel which arises from the base of the heart. So at the beginning of the aorta there are aortic sinuses. So from the left aortic sinus, the left coronary artery will arise, and from right coronary artery origin will be there. So right coronary artery supplies the right ventricle and inferior portion of the left ventricle, inferior and posterior portion of the left ventricle. Left coronary artery divides into two major branches. One is left anterior descending artery, another one is left circumflex artery. So left anterior descending artery supplies the anterior portion of the left ventricle, a septum and anterior portion of the left ventricle. Similarly, left circumflex supplies the lateral wall and posterior wall of the left ventricle. So suppose any vessel, assume that a right coronary is blocked proximally, so entire right ventricle and the portion of the inferior portion of the left ventricle gets damaged. That means the vessel which is getting blocked, that area where it is supplying the blood flow will be lessened, so that territory will be damaged. So if the same vessel is blocked distally, that means small portion of the muscle damage takes place. So that is a minor attack. The major vessel proximally blocked, the more and more area gets damaged, more and more area is involved, that lead to massive attack. So massive attack means when the major portion of the heart muscle is getting affected, ultimately it reflects in the pumping defect of the heart muscle. That is, they fall in the ejection fraction of the left ventricle. Suppose the ejection is unable to pump properly. When it is unable to pump properly, what happens inside the chambers, the blood pressure will go up. Indirectly it reflects the backside pressure. Patient can lead to difficulty in breathing, or neck veins engorgement, or patient can have a bilateral pedal edema or liver enlargement. These are all the backside pressure effects. So ultimately heart attack is a lethal condition if you don't manage it on emergency basis. So area gets, that is what we say, time is muscle. So if you are losing time, you are losing more and more muscle. So earlier the treatment, better will be the results. So quicker, better. So earlier the better. So the ultimate aim of the treatment is to minimize the damage to the heart muscle and to preserve the heart muscle and to preserve the heart pumping capacity. That is, the ultimately heart has to pump effectively blood throughout the life. So if you are delaying the treatment, what happens, more and more area gets damaged, ultimately it lead to the fall in the pumping power of the heart muscle. So that lead to, in the future, patient may develop the heart failure, or patient may develop the blood clots inside, that is thrombus inside the ventricles. So that may lead to embolism. It can dislodge and it can lead to strokes or any gangrene of the legs. All these things can take place. Another thing is, because there is any damaged muscle is there, because that scarred zone lead to arrhythmias. So there are various effects. When the major attacks takes place, immediately patient may die. If a patient is recovering or surviving, in the future patient may develop the congestive cardiac failure, or patient may develop the ventricular arrhythmias, or patient may develop the recurrent embolism because of the intraventricular clot formation. So the aim of the treatment to start early to minimize the damage, so that the patient should have a quality life even if he recovers from the heart attack. The quality should be better, and at the same time his survival should be better. So there are various options whenever the patient gets the heart attack. What are the different modes of treatment available in the treatment? One is medical, one is angioplasty, another one is emergency bypass surgery. These are three modes of options are available. So ideally, suppose if the patient reaches to the hospital within 3 hours, that is within 3 hours, whether you give a thrombolytic therapy or balloon angioplasty stenting, results are same. But beyond 3 hours, definitely angioplasty stent will score over the thrombolytic therapy. So beyond 3 hours, definitely, particularly if the patient having a major attack like extensive anterval MI or inferior valve with a right ventricular MI, or if the patient will having inferior with a true posterior valve MI, or patient is having a complete heart block, or if the patient is having a hemodynamic imbalance, that means the rate is very high, pressure is low, or patient is having a difficulty in breathing during heart attack, these patients are indirectly, we can say, these are having a massive attack, major area is under threat. So such patients, better to go for early primary angioplasty in the with stenting. In the primary angioplasty stenting, we are very sure angiographically we are seeing where the vessel is blocked, and after that when you open with the balloon and put the stent, we are very sure that the patency of the vessel is well maintained and antegrade flow to that territory is established and muscle damage is minimized. So either go with the thrombotherapy or go with the angioplasty. Sometimes the patient with massive attacks, they may have a septal ruptures, or they may have a acute MRs, or patient may have a papillary muscle dysfunction leading to MR. So these are mechanical conditions. Sometimes patient may have a left main or severe triple vessel disease which are unsuitable for angioplasty or medical treatment, or where there is a failed thrombosis unsuitable for angioplasty. These patients, they do get benefit with the emergency bypass surgery. So three modes of treatment, either thrombotherapy. This thrombotherapy is available everywhere, even in the peripheral and rural area, where a doctor who is well trained in giving thrombotherapy, there should not be any delay in wasting the time, and at the same time better to give thrombotherapy. There are various drugs are there, like streptokinase is, urokinase is there, tenecteplase is there, retiplase is there. So you choose any drug, but drug should the various drugs will have a different cost, but earlier the better, not to delay the treatment. And if you give the early treatment, the muscle damage is minimized and survival rate is better and the quality of life is better in the future. Suppose same patient, you have given thrombotherapy, but patient symptoms are not subsiding, and ECG showing that the vessel is not opened well, and the patient is having persistent chest pain, persistent symptoms, hemodynamic imbalance, that means pressure is not improving, rate is not improving. These patients, we think that the drug is not successful in that patient. Such type of patient should be referred to tertiary care immediately, where cath lab facilities are there. In such circumstances, better to go for emergency angiogram, and vessel if it is not open, do the emergency angioplasty stenting, so that it improves the survival rate and the quality of the life. So the first option, thrombotherapy, available in many centers in the rural and district headquarters, and second is angioplasty is available in district headquarters, some of the district headquarters, and mainly in Hyderabad area, like any city, urban areas. This is this facility can be provided only in the hospital where they have a cath lab facilities with round the clock cardiology services. Particularly in the midnight, if any patient coming with MI, immediately doctor should take him for angiography and see which vessel is closed, and immediately they have to pass the wire open with balloons, and subsequently they should implant the stents. So these are the options. Definitely the patient outcome will be different from institute to institute depending upon the services. Suppose if the patient is having a round the clock cardiology services where the cardiologists are always available, and post procedure any problem is there, immediately if the team is taking care, definitely outcome will be better. But some of the centers where the cardiologists will be available on visit basis and doing procedure and going away, post procedure if there is no follow up is there, suddenly if the stent thrombosis takes place, sometimes the outcome may be different. So always whenever you choose a center where the round the clock service are there and the experienced team is there, definitely in complex cases experience matters. The senior person who is having a lot of experience, particularly when the experienced cardiologist is there, mainly in tackling the complex case where the patient age is like more than 60 years, like a advanced age, what happens, vessels get calcified. These are tough lesions. So in tough lesions, to cross with the balloons, and sometimes we may have to use rota stenting. That means we have to drill it with a rota bar. So, and calcium, you may have to use some newer techniques like a buddy wires, like a guide liners or balloon anchoring techniques. When you use these techniques, experience definitely matters. Suppose if the person who has completed with a limited experience, then if he is doing the procedure, they are not exposed to these kind of advanced techniques, definitely outcome will be different. So when you see the patient, particularly medical treatment, whatever is available, take the immediate help instead of ignoring the facility, and particularly never ignore your symptoms. So who are at risk in developing the heart attack, that is more important. So particularly in India, more than 25-year-old male and female postmenopausal, and patients who are having a high blood pressure, that means hypertension, or high blood sugar level, that is diabetic patients, and those who are smoking and with high lipid levels, like a particularly elevated LDL, which is called as a good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, elevated LDL, and low HDL. That means HDL is a good cholesterol, protective cholesterol. If it is low, patient is more prone for heart attack. At the same time, triglyceride levels are high and total cholesterol is very high. These patients are prone for heart attacks. So diabetes, smoking, high blood pressure, and patients who are having a high lipid levels, and with a strong family history. Sometimes it runs in the families, particularly any siblings or family members are having heart attacks under 40 years there, that means you can think that genetic factor is playing a role. So family history is there, hypertension, diabetes, and all these factors are the incidence becomes more as the patient the population age increases. That means the incidence diabetes very high with the advancing age. Hypertension also incidence increase with advancing age. So the risk or proneness for diabetes, hypertension, and lipid levels will be higher with advancing age. So that means always you should see moreover persons who are having a sedentary lifestyles, like patients who are the persons who are taking a high calorie diet with a less expenditure, that means less expenditure of the calories, that means mismatch. Suppose if the patient taking more calories and at the same time his sedentary lifestyle leading, ultimately it lead to a elevated LDL, patient become obese. So with obesity, blood pressure will go up, sugars will go up, and at the same time the diabetes, hypertension, lipid levels will become very abnormal in those patients who are suffering from the obesity. So obesity can always, it can be protected, particularly from the heart attack, if they maintain optimal body weight, if they eat more fiber and less fat, less carbohydrate, and high protein diet. So that is very important, and try to increase your consumption of vegetables, antioxidants in the form of dry fruits, more fresh leafy vegetables. Definitely this is more favorable in protecting heart attack. So diet pattern should be changed, exercise the exercise pattern should be changed. Always maintain, instead of asymmetric exercise, maintain isotonic exercise like running, jogging, swimming, cycling. All these will be helpful in even in maintaining the good cardiac health. That means isotonic exercise, good diet, and regular walking. That is very helpful. As per the WHO, at least you should walk or you should do some exercise which can produce mild breathlessness or mild sweat. That is minimum 30 minutes for 5 days in a week. At least 5 days in a week you should maintain a good physical exercise. So good diet, good exercise, and prevention of the risk factors, like a control, or if the risk factors are there, control them properly. Hypertension, treat optimally and see that the pressure levels are optimally controlled. Diabetes, periodically check the sugar levels, keep them under control, sugar levels under control. Similarly, like lipid levels control, and ideally all these values should be maintained optimally. That means LDL cholesterol should be less than 100 in Indian population. Suppose if the patient is diabetic, the LDL cholesterol should be maintained below 70, and HDL should be above 40 for male, and for females it should be more than 50. And blood pressure, ideally it should be maintained below 135/80. Systolic pressure should be below 135, and systolic pressure should be below 135 millimeters of mercury, and diastolic pressure should be maintained below 80 millimeters of mercury. So if you maintain the ideal figures like a normal blood pressure levels, and normal cholesterol levels, and normal sugar levels, and if with good exercise, with a good diet pattern, definitely you can prevent the heart attack. And at the same time, when the heart attack is there, as I said earlierly, please don't delay in seeking the advice, and immediately go to the nearest center. And usual symptoms are, patient will have a classical left sided chest pain radiant to the left arm, Sometimes patient can have an anterior part of the neck pain, patient can have a epigastric discomfort, like it looks like acidity, and sometimes patient may have a lower jaw pain. So patient may have a severe dragging pain of the lower jaw, or sometimes rarely patient can have a right sided chest pain or right arm pain. So classically patient will have a heaviness or uneasiness over the chest radiant to the left arm associated with sweating, and rarely patient can have a recurrent vomiting, patient can present like a recurrent hiccups, patient can present with like a syncopal attack, or patient can present with a difficulty in breathing. So these are the various manifestations of the heart attack, but when these symptoms are there, particularly if the patient comes under risk group like a 25 plus male and postmenopausal female, particularly in females under 40, heart attack is very rare. Only exemption if they are having a diabetes or if there is having a strong family history, definitely they are also prone for heart attack. But more than 40 years, particularly like anybody is more prone for heart attacks, particularly in the presence of risk factors. More risk factors, the chance of getting heart attack more likely. And risk factors, when you treat it optimally, and simple taking the treatment is not enough. When you are taking the treatment should be adequate, and the risk factor should be controlled properly to prevent the future future heart attacks. Now people who are undergoing angioplasty stenting, many times when the patient is on the table, many patients they get confused because what type of stent to be used, particularly is it metallic stent or bare metal stent or drug-eluting stent or bioabsorbable stent. So and various brands are there, different like Indian stents are there, like Chinese stents, German stents, like American stents. There are so many stents are there. So particularly when the patient in an emergency situation, patient is on the table, sometimes the doctor says, so what type of stent you want, and most of the time doctors will tell the cost. So the cost will vary from 20,000 to almost 1,90,000 each stent. So they get confused. So suddenly on the table, patient is on the deathbed, and at the same time people will be confused what type of stent to be choose. So I think my opinion will be valid for many persons who this can help you in sorting out some situations. So what happens when the patient is having initially when they found the angioplasty with balloon, they found very high restenosis rate because of the sometimes sudden closure of this vessel because of the dissection leading to thrombus formation, or sometimes because of the high restenosis rate. So subsequently over a period of decade, people the scientists have they went on research, and ultimately they launched the bare metal stents. Like a bare metal stents, though compared to angioplasty, the incidence of restenosis is less compared to the angioplasty, but the restenosis still it was very high, almost like a 25 to 30% bare metal stent. But the plain balloon angioplasty restenosis rate was almost 40 to 50%. Then they changed different metals like a stainless steel to cobalt, chromium, gold coated. There are different types of like a nickel stents or various. They have used various metals, but none of the metal cobalt, chromium has come into the market. But none of the metal stent eliminated the restenosis rate significantly. Ultimately, in 2002, 2003, the drug-eluting stents have come into the market. So drug-eluting stents, what happens over the stent, there are polymers like a biodegradable, non-biodegradable polymer, and it will be coated with the drug-eluting drug. The drug will be released over a period of 1 month to 3 months, over a period of depending upon the company. So these drugs are usually anti-proliferative drugs, particularly like anti-neoplastic drugs. The cells will not grow excessively, so that single layer will form over the stent, so that it will not close. The restenosis rate is less. So initially launched like a sirolimus and paclitaxel stents, but compared to paclitaxel, sirolimus stents are superior. And over a period in the last 1 decade, so many changes have come. They have come with a better design, like a thinner stents, more flexible stents, more trackable stents, and better drugs with many like even the with the polymers like a biodegradable polymers they have come. So with the newer versions of the stents, now the restenosis has significantly dropped. Hardly we see about 4 to 5% compared to initial 25%. It has come to nearly 3 to 5% depending upon the company. Some of the very recently launched stents, they are showing 0 to 2% restenosis rate. So now about 3-4 years back, they launched totally bioabsorbable stents. That means like a polylactical polymer, and it is not a metal stent. It's like a plastic type of material where like a catgut suture what we use in the theater, like it absorbs over a period. Similarly, this also through like a lactic acid enters into the Krebs cycle, and it will be degraded into oxygen and carbon dioxide molecule. So water and carbon dioxide molecule, and that will be totally absorbed into the body. So bioabsorbable stents have come into the market, and but the problem is slightly more restenosis, slightly more thrombosis compared to the later generation. But once it gets absorbed, a vessel looks like a normal, and the vasomotion of the vessel becomes normal. The vessel looks like a completely physiological functional normal without any casing of the vessel. The the stents presently in the market available, local stents will be available in the range of 15 to 20,000, 25,000, and like some of the American companies, and even each company is also come with the drug-eluting stents in the range of slightly lower end version, middle range, and high end. Most of the companies have like a 20 to 25,000 version and 40 to 60,000 version, and there also high end version they have come with 1,10,000. And recently 2 companies have launched, which are about one more company is yet to launch. That is about 1,65,000. Other 2 stents are in the range of MRP of 1,75,000. So the 1,65,000-75,000 are the topmost line presently available in the market anywhere in the world. Like these stents are also whatever is available in the America or European countries are also available in India, and these stents are with the lowest restenosis and lowest thrombosis, and it can cross any difficult lesion, particularly when the vessel is very highly tortuous, and pushability is very best, and very even tough lesions it can cross easily, these type of high end stents. And suppose if the patient is having a financial problem, no need to think of very high end. The difference between the 25,000 and like 1,65,000, hardly 3 to 4% difference. Not much, but particularly always we have to give the option to tell the patient these are the brands available, what you want. Suppose if the patient is affordable, very high end person and very affluent, he can choose the best. And suppose if the patient is really lower middle or middle class, or if the RGC patient is there, and there also the drug coat stents eligibility is there, these stents are also doing very well. No need to become panic, no need to worry about these stents. And the difference I say hardly 4 to 5% between the the RGC stent and the topmost brand are available in the market. So even if you are choosing the stent, see your finances. If it is a burden to you, choose the whatever the lowest cost available. Even Indian stents are also doing well, though there is a marginal difference. Why we prefer the sometimes the senior consultants or the any cardiologists, why they choose the best stent means he doesn't want to lose even 1% of the patients also. They wanted the best quality, and at the same time, and if even if 100 patients or 1 or 2 patients losing means for him, he feels very bad. That's the reason always he try to choose the best possible to his patient. And at the same time, we have to balance the patient's economy and cost effectiveness. So based upon that, and no need to think negatively about the available stents in the market. These are also very good stents, and you can opt for these stents. So even 20-25,000 you will get a very good stent with drug eluting. Previously in 20-25,000 only bare metal stents were available, that will non-drug eluting stents. Now the drug eluting stents are available, and all non-drug eluting stents are with even RGS3 is providing, and these stents are also very good quality stents with better long-term results. Thank you one and all for listening.